Welcome back, everyone. I will never understand the iPhone X. This is one of the most solid phones Apple has ever released, and it's so interesting to me because they did such a great job with this specific iPhone that it really does overshine almost all the other iPhones I can even imagine at this point. And I think the iPhone X is the iPhone that's going to age the most graciously from any iPhone that has ever came out. Now, what does that mean? Well, essentially with something like an iPhone 8 Plus that came out at the same year, there are some pretty big visual differences between these two phones. I mean, you have a lot of bezel, a lot of home button on the iPhone 8 Plus, but with the iPhone X, this specific phone, I mean, when you look at this iPhone, yes, it still has a notch, but when you look at the iPhone 13 Pro, even the Pro Max, those things still have notches too, and it's been rumored that the iPhone 14s, at least some models, will still retain that notch. So you're really not even losing out on too much of the design wise, at least on the front. So that's a big thing to keep in mind. The design in terms of the front from the iPhone X onwards are pretty much the same. You know, of course we don't have a ProMotion display on this thing, but it's still a pretty good looking panel and I have very few things to complain about it overall. Now, on top of that, when you feel the iPhone X in your hand and you feel something like an iPhone 13, for example, there are some ways where the iPhone X may feel a little bit more premium. I feel like the chassis of the iPhone X feels more premium than the chassis of the iPhone 13, and even though I prefer the flat sides nowadays, the curved sides on the iPhone X still feel fairly good, and again, that's not really something I would complain about too much. And the fact that the iPhone X just visually still looks the way it looks, and Apple for some reason hasn't really changed too many things in terms of the front, makes the iPhone X still look so current. Even though this is almost, I think over a 4-year-old phone at this point, it still doesn't look that old. You know, yes, the back, because of that dual camera setup and because of the design, we're so used to the iPhone X being that older, device, it really doesn't look that outdated. And I think that's something that Apple did kind of a good job at, keeping it so current. But also, I think it's kind of an interesting thing because Apple may actually end up maybe regretting not changing the design too much in like 10 years when all their iPhones for a certain experience had, a notch on it, and it's hard to differentiate one iPhone to the other. Again, a lot of people prefer visual changes over, internal things that they can't really see. And when they see something like an iPhone with a home button and an iPhone with a notch, they probably prefer the notch one because, it looks so much more futuristic. But when you have an iPhone that has a notch and the next one has a notch and the next one has a notch, it's kind of hard to tell which one is which one is different. And I think Apple did a decent job with the flat sides. The 13 Pro series, they really didn't do anything crazy except ProMotion. I'm curious to see if they were to end up removing the notch on the iPhone, 14s. Now, on top of this, I've tested the iPhone X against, I think, every single iPhone 13 model, and yes, it doesn't fare well in terms of, battery life and I think overall performance, but this is still a pretty decent performing phone, and I'm sure it can still last me all day with my battery life. I just stopped using this phone, I think, a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I had a really good experience with it. It was very solid. It's still getting support with software, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon, and things like that just add to the whole entire just experience of this phone. In my opinion, this iPhone is going to last as long as the iPhone XS, which came out in 2018. So this thing's still going to be supported for many, many more years. So in my opinion, you are pretty much set for at least like another year or 2 years, at least at the bare minimum. This thing is going to be getting iOS 16. I'm pretty sure it's going to be getting iOS 17 as well. And I think that's where it's going to end. So I'm just in love with the iPhone X, and I'll never understand how Apple made such a good phone in 2017 and how it still holds up so well in 2021 at this point. So in terms of that covers it up there. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.